It is February 5th, 2019, 9:30 a.m. Call the Health Committee to order. You take the roll, please.
Whitlow,
Present.
Curtis.
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Doobie. Here.
The agenda before us. Motion to approve the agenda.
So made.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Dr. Yusuf not here today?
He's on the street this week.
Okay. Dr. Yusuf will not be here today. Okay, got an audit, the animal control claims, take a look at them and for approval, send to the county board. Take a quick glance. Looks quite a few animal control calls in January. Not that be before the agenda, maybe before the public comments on the animal control. Approve animal control claims. It's listed behind public comments. I'll go by the agenda. Do we have any public comments? Seeing none. To approve the animal control claims you had before you and send them on to the county board. Have a motion to do that? A little more time.
What is the, where it says Iroquois County monthly fee, that $1,500, what is that? On page, be like page 4, I guess. It's circled, that's why.
It's the
Oh, that's just, okay, his monthly, okay, gotcha. It was circled, so then I was like, well, why is it circled? I was just curious. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Would anybody like to see the hard copies? Redundant.
Okay, here's another question. I notice on some of these jobs where it says Iroquois County Animal Board, and some don't. Do we know what that?
I wouldn't know what that would distinguish, what that would signify. Or not. If it's-
I'm just trying to learn.
Yeah.
So,
What's not, give me an example of one.
well, like for instance, if you look at that, well, like the first one, the Pipple doesn't have it, but the second one, German Shepherd, says Iroquois County Animal Board, it's like the first thing, it says 32. Sometimes it's 32, sometimes it's 31.
Okay, those, I think would be questions for Dr. Yusuf, since he's not here. I don't know. I don't know if this is a report from him or if this is from our software. Looks like it would be his because it has like the vector control for fleas, the wellness care, euthanasia. And then like the board, that would be like a boarding fee.
I don't know. Okay, yeah, I mean,
That's
okay.
my assumption is like the boarding
It's a,
fee.
oh, okay, so board, okay.
I think it just cuts it off.
I'm thinking, well, but what I'm thinking like board as
Right.
a body of people as opposed to
Right.
dog
The
boarding.
dog boarding, yes.
Yeah, so, I should have had that last cup of coffee
Yeah.
before I left, yeah.
My guess is like
Okay.
it's his boarding fee.
That would make sense, okay.
I think you're right.
Keep
Okay.
your bones. Clean them, clean them,
Got it,
put them nail.
that makes sense, all right.
There's one for 17.
Different charges depending on how many keeps them.
Sure, and that makes perfectly logical sense, like I said, I was thinking of some type of fee or something,
Sure.
right? Okay,
I
Which
mean,
it
That
is,
will
but-
vary, you know,
yeah,
considerably.
sure, right, okay, thank you.
Any more questions on that? And, any more time to look over the claims yet, or we? I would entertain a motion to approve the claims and send them to the county board for final approval. Second? Call the roll, please.
Whitlow,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Bard,
Yes.
Doobie,
Yes.
Motion approved, send to the county board. D,
Good morning. So, it gave you a little packet that has your grants and contracts list. I just updated that because I wanted to show you that we had contract numbers on some of those grants that did get approved, and we were waiting on state contract numbers. We finally got almost all of them. We're still waiting on a couple, but, all the grants are in now. Some of them just got approved and are retroactive back to July 1st. That's how far this page is behind. That's kind of sad, isn't it? But now we're able, once we get contract numbers, then we're able to bill for those grants. So we're doing pretty good on those. Do you have any questions about the grants and contracts list? It's the same list you got last time. The only thing that's changed is whether something was finalized or a contract number was added on to it. No questions about that? Okay. The next thing is your program summary report. We went ahead and included, if you noticed last month, on your program summary reports, we're including fiscal year 17 and 18 totals with that, just so that you can kind of track where we're at on that and in comparison to previous years. So far in FY19, we have issued 182 food sanitation permits. Last year we did 194 for the full year. You'll probably see a few more straggling, but not very many, right, Terry?
They're all issued at this point. It'd only be if a place changes hands.
Yeah. Or a new place opens.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for McDonald's. Everybody is, right? They did 40 re-inspections in January, and last month, I know Terry talked to you about that a little bit. A lot of the re-inspections is because of the new food code.
If you look, there was 53 regular inspections done. Over 75% of them had to have re-inspections.
oh,
Yeah.
Because of the new food code.
yeah,
Things are
almost stringent, huh?
unbelievable.
A lot more stuff we have to go back on. So
So subsequently, those re-inspections take staff time.
mileage.
The big one is mileage, because, we're the third largest county in the state of Illinois as far as land mass. So, for us to go around the county and do these re-inspections is a lot of mileage. And you're gonna see increased mileage on people. And the mileage rate went up. In January, the mileage rate went up from 54.5 cents a mile to 58 cents a mile. So you're gonna see some big time expenditures coming out of the health department for mileage. I mean,
It's unavoidable.
it's unavoidable. And you gotta do your job. So, and we don't serve the public well sitting behind a desk. We serve the public well out being out in the
Gotta be
public.
in the field, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so, just to make you aware of that. It is what it is.
Right.
Do
But
you have to turn those inspections into the state?
No. Every 3 years they audit our system. They come
So
in
you
and
keep
look.
everything private right here?
yeah. It's all kept
Well,
here.
well, technically, 90% of it's kept in cyberspace somewhere, because the inspections are
Yeah.
uploaded
Loaded
into
into-
it. Yeah.
CDP, but
You can't really, the new food code, you can't do, it'd be impractical to do it by hand, a full inspection. There's 58 line items, however, there's over 500 different violations within those 58.
yeah,
So,
it's unbelievably complicated.
it's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. Might as well be honest, right? Don't stay the same. and we're certainly not the only county that, you know, has an issue with this. And actually, Terry has spoken to the regional group about it, on some of the issues. I would say Iroquois County probably has a better handle on it than most counties. Because you remember, and I've said this to you before, the last time that they did inspections, only 14% of the counties in the state passed their state inspection. Terry was the first one, I think, in our region that passed, and he passed with flying colors. So we have a good system here. Terry's got a lot of experience under his belt, knows what he's doing, runs a tight ship.
I'd be more comfortable when the computer system gets, they're building this as we go.
Work in progress.
For these repeat inspections, we're trying to keep up by hand which ones we have to go back on. Eventually, I want the computer to, if I inspect your place today, Jed, and it tells me I gotta go back in 5 days, it automatically throws it on my calendar, and that the minute that I do inspect you, then it takes it off the calendar. And right now it's not doing that. We're trying to do it by hand, which is very frustrating until they get it fixed.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Time consuming.
Time consuming. This morning I woke up and was like, oh, I gotta go back to one that I forgot when we were off, for the 2 days.
I can about imagine.
Yeah.
How often do you inspect one business?
The ordinance says that we will inspect everybody twice a year.
Twice a year?
Some of them have to be inspected 3 times a year. That's your high-risk places.
Those are your restaurants that have
Full,
full service.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like McDonald's, Burger King, that kind of stuff. They're medium risk.
And schools are high risk, so
So K&H you do 3 times a year.
minimum 3 times a year.
They don't know when you're coming.
No, they do know when the revisits are done, because that's a deadline date that they have to have the stuff fixed. One place has already paid the $200 repeat fee that we put into the ordinance. Today I'm going back, and that place hasn't paid me yet, or the health department yet. So if they don't pay today, then the $250 late fee applies to it. So it goes to $450.
Crazy,
So,
huh?
Is the new food code, is that a state thing, federal thing?
FDA, it passed the
Federal.
FDA code. The hardship that's hurting a lot of these places is the difference between the 2013 and the 17 is they have to have a food certified manager on duty at all times. So a lot of these people are having to get certified. Your bars with your pizza ovens are, they're throwing the pizza ovens in the trash can because they can't afford to have that many people for what
So that,
little
so
they made
something
off the
as
pizza.
simple as that,
That.
they would have to buy.
No, we brought that up with the state, a lot of the new food code things, are extreme. Really what's the food risk when you cut a frozen pizza?
Not like you're preparing it
It's
from
not like you're
scratch.
preparing it from scratch.
You
and making it
are
right.
correct. However, that's, yeah.
But the new code says that.
Yeah.
So they have to have a certified food manager on duty if they're serving a frozen pizza.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of changes that are just a lot of work for Terry, but a lot of work for the businesses
yeah.
as well. So our big concern was that we truly are here to help those businesses. We're here to keep people safe, to make sure that the food you eat and the things you drink are safe, but we don't want to do it, it's not our goal to harass them or make their life miserable. We're supposed to be there to help
A lot
them.
of taverns, like they used to put like popcorn in the bar, they shouldn't even do that, I imagine.
That's
Correct.
acceptable. It's the
That would be
Tombstone
acceptable?
Pizza. Yeah, it's the
Okay.
Tombstone.
Okay, so your
Okay.
grubby little hands can be in my bucket of peanuts, and then my grubby little hands can be in the bucket of peanuts, and that's okay. But frozen pizza is.
Yeah, that's where,
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but that's the state of Illinois for you.
Uh-huh. So we're
We're trying to get it
we're
changed.
trying to get that changed.
We shouldn't be shocked, right?
We've taken some action, as a group, as a regional group of health departments to, you know, because ultimately, when you have places that can't even serve frozen pizza, it really does cut down their revenue. But it hurts jobs. That hurts jobs in the county. You know, that guy that's delivering all them pizzas, you
It's
know,
gonna be out of a job.
it's a trickle down effect.
Right.
So we want to help businesses stay open. We want to help, you know, people have jobs. You know,
But you gotta enforce what's
but
laid
we've
down
got
to you.
we've got
Our hands are tied.
Our
There's
hands are
nothing you
tied.
can,
No.
that's beyond your control, correct?
Well, it's, 2 years ago, when the state came out with this thing that made the bars with the pizza ovens medium risk, I went ahead and changed all ours. All the bars complied. One bar said, nah, they only sold a couple pizzas, so they just got rid of it at the time. But all the bars,
Right.
there's 15 of them at the time, went ahead, got their manager, and all complied. There was health departments that snubbed their nose at the state and said, "Now we're not going to enforce that." They all failed the local health protection grant because they did not up their bars.
They gotta understand, they gotta
that
put
puts
this,
their local health
So
protection
now
grant
they-
at risk.
So then they all changed their attitude. They all bumped them up.
they gotta put themselves in your position.
Where the scenario happened was, originally they had the 2013 code. That was the same as what the old way was. It's when they snuck this 2017 code through is where the dilemma falls, that everybody has to be on duty, has to have the certificate, which is expensive. This week, Donna's teaching a class down in Loda. It's a full class because all these extra people are having to go.
So that was a state thing as opposed to a federal thing, or it's part
The
of
state
federal?
did all that.
Okay.
Okay, the FDA food code, that is a very difficult code. I brought in the books before. They're like this, okay. It's mainly developed, the FDA food code was mainly developed for the industry, where you're making the big products and everything, okay? However, they're trying to use it, the FDA food code, on the smaller range. There's a lot of extra paperwork. That's a lot of those revisits. I'm going back to check on paperwork.
And that was the state that was trying to
The state did that.
conform, I mean, that's where
Yes.
okay.
Never ending.
It's never ending.
I'm hoping the revisits go down, because most of the revisits right now is just checking on paperwork to make sure that the people are signing up for the food classes, filling out forms.
Initially, it's gonna be more.
That's what, I'm hoping by July, this is going way downhill.
So is there a cost then for the class and everything
Oh, yeah, it runs up to $150 for that,
for one person?
for one person.
Yeah,
Plus, most people pay their staff to go to that,
yeah.
and it's usually
Now,
about
they can just have one person from the staff or,
No, a lot of times it has to require more because we're making sure that every food shift is covered with a food certified manager. So Monday through Sunday, their food shift operations has that person.
they have two shifts and they have to have.
Some have 3.
And you have to have a certificate up in the
And then,
wall.
most people work 5 days, so you got a 7-day work week. So you got a lot of employees that are going through this class.
We're gonna have to have the certificate up on the wall too, and then, yeah.
Is it just one person, like, per shift, or is?
One person per shift has to have the 8-hour class. All the other food workers have to have the 2-hour class.
Okay.
And then there's also for the, what I call the mom and pop places, KNH would be one. They're high risk because of what they do. Well, the mom and pop places have to have allergen training. So that's another class they have to take.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's up to you to try to enforce all this. Yeah,
And he is only giving you a little teeny bit of this big
yeah,
food code. So it's a lot.
well, okay, overwhelming.
We have
It is over.
We have our sanitarian turned in a resignation recently, so we will be advertising for a new sanitarian. Hopefully, we can get an LEHP, a local environmental health practitioner. But those are like finding a needle in a haystack. They really are. Getting an associate sanitarian is hard enough because they have to have a minimum of 36. Is it 32 or 36? I have to look.
Yeah, I have to-
Hours of college sciences. Well, a normal person with a bachelor's degree is not going to have that many hours of sciences. So you basically have to find somebody that has a bachelor's in science or a
That
bachelor's in
fits all the
biology.
things. You gotta have rocks classes.
Geology, and
Yeah.
you got to have the, it is like finding a needle in a haystack to get somebody who has also done all that and has passed the certification to be a licensed environmental health practitioner. So
McLean County has has the college right there that has one of their degrees they issue out of there is environmental science. They can find all the interns galore. However, when it comes time to hiring a person, they have very hard time finding a person because most of the people then go on into private industry because of the pay.
Yeah.
So
Makes
it's difficult to find.
Yeah, I'll bet.
it is very hard to find.
Okay.
So you'll see that ad coming out this week on the county website.
Which makes it very difficult, because like I said, this is the year they're looking at our stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're looking at this year's stuff next year.
And the initial startup and some of the stuff.
Yeah.
They're really gonna keep
That
an eye
food
on.
code is, like I said, there's 58 line items, but there's over 500 combos. So that is, it's difficult for Donna and I now. I'd hate to say how it is for a person that's never
Oh,
done
yeah.
it. Yeah.
No experience and somebody, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, this is making me nervous, Terry sitting in front of me and tell me about it, but yeah.
That's what my presentation comes. Don't open it.
Okay, do you have any other questions? Look, you noticed that we had 62 radon kits that we gave out this month. That's significant for us to have 62 in a month. We'll see what happens when those results come in.
Mine was 14.
I'd like to thank the
There's 14.
deal on that. I'd like to thank the paper. I think they did a
Yeah.
wonderful job.
Wendy?
You did a wonderful job on the two ads you put, or the two articles in the paper. We passed out 62 test kits. Thank you.
We do appreciate that, Wendy. It helps keep the people safe. Don't want people getting lung cancer from radon.
My 14 was a retest too, after I made some modifications. So I don't know. That's still high.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that worries me.
I'll try to do something about it.
Time to get it done.
Get her done.
If you look under community health, I'll point out a few things for you. Hepatitis A, that hepatitis A case was not a case. There is a hepatitis A outbreak. If you've watched Channel 3 News, it's been on there for the last month. There have been numerous hepatitis A cases in surrounding counties, but that investigation ended up being not a case for Iroquois County. The hepatitis B case was confirmed. The measles case, wow, that was a huge investigation, huge, hours and hours and hours. I think I was probably halfway through the investigation and counted, and I had made 16 phone calls already between the physician's office, the county health department, another county health department, the state, the child's parents, the hospital that the child ended up going to. It was just a lot. The laboratory confirmation on that case came back negative, so we got lucky.
Well, Clean County hasn't been so lucky.
Yeah, no. And Champaign County has 2 confirmed measles cases right now.
What about mumps and, what, pertussis? What
Okay,
about-
our MUPS case, that is suspect, it is suspect. The doctor's office sent a confirmatory sample to the state lab, and when the sample arrived at the lab, it was not viable. So we missed the window to test. So they are gonna leave that in the state system as a suspect case. But mumps is out there too, you know, my goodness. Champaign County had, you know, hundred and some cases of mumps, you know, in the last year or two. Our pertussis, one was a laboratory confirmed case, and the other one is still under investigation as a suspect case. But we did have a laboratory confirmed pertussis case, which is common. That's whooping cough.
Are we seeing this because of people not
Yeah,
vaccinating, I was
that's
assuming?
exactly what it is.
Don't get it, but okay.
Yeah, I know. I will never understand the anti-vaxxers. The syphilis case was a confirmed case, and it was the treatment has been completed on that. The varicella case ended up being not a case. That one ended up being not a case because they didn't test. The parents didn't really test on that. And it's not a case unless it's laboratory confirmed. So if the doctor says, yep, looks at it and says, yeah, you had varicella, that's chickenpox. Yeah, you had chickenpox. It's, for us, it's considered not a case unless it's laboratory confirmed. Anything's not a case unless it's laboratory confirmed. So that's a little rundown on some of our stuff that's been going on. It was a busy month. January was a busy, busy month for communicable disease nurses. If you flip it over, you can run down through the community outreach stuff in the breast and cervical program. The jail program, 6 inmates were seen, 2 of them were referred for follow-up. There were 335 vision screenings done, 305 hearing screenings done. So on vision, look at that, out of 335, 30 of them had to be rescreened, and 19 of them were referred to an eye doctor. In the hearing screenings, out of 305, 15 of those children had to be rescreened. Only 2 of them were referred to an ear, nose, throat specialist. Our senior service programs, new APS reports, we had 14 so far this year. Look, between December and January in this fiscal year, 14. Last year, they had 40, in FY17 they had 36. Those numbers are high. Those girls, I had one girl, a part-timer, that just resigned, and we were trying to see if we could get by without replacing that person. I'm gonna have to replace that person if these numbers keep up.
Does that take in just like physical things that,
No.
or
Adult Protective Services is for anybody who's 60 years of age or older, or 18 through 59 if they have a disability. And it can be any type of fraud, neglect, exploitation, abuse.
okay.
Most of what we see truly is not physical abuse, although we do see that. Most of our cases
Taking
are
money.
financial abuse.
Sure.
Somebody is, you got a grandkid and he's ran grandma's checking account dry, and all of a sudden grandma doesn't have any money, can't live, doesn't make enough Social Security and enough, a month to live on, and can't get the bills paid, and electricity's getting shut off, and a lot of that stuff. We see a lot of that. It happens a lot more frequently than we'd like, that's for sure. So we work very closely. Those investigations are very, very complex. You always have an alleged victim, you have an alleged abuser, sometimes more than one alleged abuser, and then those cases have to be investigated very carefully with using specific protocol, and then we oftentimes are working with the local authorities, with the police, the sheriff's office.
Trying to weed out the facts from
State's
about
attorney.
20 different stories.
Yes.
Well, I'm assuming that, you may launch some things, but you still, I mean, the sheriff's department or what secret guild, whatever, a local department has to be doing that because you guys can't bring
Yeah.
charges against anyone.
Yeah, okay, so here's the deal with us. Right now, there are only, we have two programs in our senior service programs. We have the CCU program, the community care program, which keeps elderly people in their home. And then we have the adult protective service program. Right now, there are only 5 health departments in the state that have CC, the community care program, and only 3 health departments in the state of Illinois have APS. They, APS is, for other counties, is usually done through a different organization. When we established Iroquois County Public Health Department, one of the things that Jim Devine spoke very highly of and wanted us to keep was the Adult Protective Service Program, because through those investigations, that relieves a huge amount of investigative time off of local police, the sheriff's office, and the state's attorney's office, because we basically do their investigation, or a good portion of the investigation for them.
Fraudulent calls been coming through to a lot of seniors too, I know that. But
Yeah.
I get a bunch of them, I imagine some of the others do too, get some calls like from Apple, and I had 5 from Apple last week, trying to get me to give their information, it's getting bad.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Most of this is family members or
I know, such a shame.
neighbors,
It is.
taking advantage of the elderly.
Well, sure. No, I mean, obviously, a lot of that, though, I mean, there's some things you can't do, because I'm assuming you can't get subpoenas. You
Oh, no,
can't
yeah,
get
we
search-
can.
You
Oh,
can't
yeah.
get
Oh, yeah.
subpoenas
Oh, yeah.
and search warrants?
And our workers go to court with the victims.
Right, but that's different
get-
than getting
get-
financial records.
Oh, no,
and
we
those
get
types of things.
they get all the financial records. This is through this grant is through the East Central Area Agency on Aging, but it's through the Illinois Department of Aging. So, yes, these workers get all of these people's financial records, go through the bank records.
Probably pretty much the same as DCFS, correct? Pretty
Our
close.
agency is the one that goes into the banks and trains the banks on what to watch for. For elderly abuse, fraud, and neglect. They do so many bank trainings a year. Yes, they get all that. They assist the alleged victim in getting, what do you call them? Where people can't get somebody within so many feet of somebody else.
An order of protection or.
Orders of protection, yeah. They assist with all that, yeah. And that's why, Leanne, we had to hire, I had 2 people working in that program last year, and both of them retired, and we had to hire new people in. That's why they have to train for 6 months before they're allowed to have a case on their own. It's an extreme amount of training. So I had to have new people training while I had the old people, the employees that were, long-standing employees here. I had to have new people training at the same time, so I had to pay like all of them out at the same time, which was, I got a lot of county board questions about that. Why do you need this many people? Well, because these people can't go out and investigate until they complete their training, and that takes 6 months. And then why does that take 6 months? Well, it's a very complicated training, and the training comes in phases. There's a phase 1, a phase 2, a phase 3 training. A lot. Anybody have any questions about your program summary report? I don't go line by line, otherwise we'd be here all day. And Terry's going to talk to you today about septic.
My computer works.
Do you have another question? So then you can actually anybody else because of the vaccinated.
You shouldn't get it,
I was just curious. I'm not against it, I'm for it.
no. Yeah.
But I know there is kids
If your
Love
kids
it.
are vaccinated, they're safe.
Last chance.
It's
Sure.
very unlikely that a vaccinated kid will get one of those diseases.
Okay.
You know, it depends. There are kids that have vaccine failure, you know, not that the vaccine failed, but the kid's immune system just didn't build up antibodies because they were sick from something else or whatever.
Okay.
There are other reasons, but most people who've been vaccinated are good.
It's not looking good, Mark.
That free
What happened, Terry?
It's circling.
It's circling?
Yeah, I logged in and I did what Eric told me to do, but it's just circling.
Uh-oh.
Is my Wi-Fi down?
I have it again.
Yeah.
It's not responding. Right. There we go. And
Oh,
we'll- All right, this is, I asked Eric to make this presentation for me. It was a learning experience for him, so it was kind of good, you know, I helped him with it a little bit. I think he did a real good job. This is the private sewage for Iroquois County. The difference between private and public. We deal here with Iroquois County with the private sewage. Now, that is done through the private sewage disposal code. That's through the local ordinance. And in that, with the local ordinance, that gives us the authority to enforce the private sewage disposal code. With the private sewage disposal is just what it is. It's private sewage. Now, you can have a joint septic system if it's all recorded down in Lisa's office that it's joint property. So 2 individuals, if they want to put in one system for both properties, it has to be recorded before we issue the permit. Now, the public sewage, that's like the town of Watsika here, that's through the EPA. We also work with the EPA with the private sewage. If a subsurface system cannot fit on property, then they have to go through the EPA to get what's called an NPDES permit. And once that permit is issued by the EPA, then we can issue the private sewage disposal permit for an off-lot discharge, surface discharge. And we handle sewage complaints. These are typical. The one on the left, that one, the tiles apparently blocked, so the homeowner just took the top off the septic tank there. You see that little darker square right here in the,
These from here are these can pictures.
These are
right here,
Okay.
that is an access point to the septic tank. So if some kid or adult walking through the backyard at night didn't see that, they're gonna be a goner, because that tank's about 8 foot deep. The one on the right there, that's just raw sewage out in the field. The tiles broke. And in front of Jed is actually some sewage water that's improperly treated. I told you not to open it, Jed. If you want to smell it, that's fine.
I'll pass.
It has a musty smell. These photos really don't, it doesn't really show a lot, just a tad. A lot of times the sewage, like right in here, it's a little off-white color. That's the toilet paper in it or the strings off your clothing. And it doesn't smell like the men's bathroom after, you know, Super Bowl. You know, it doesn't have that odor. It's a musty smell most of the time, or you can smell the fabric softener in it. you can smell the detergents in it a lot of times. And with the sewage complaints, we take the phone calls, we go out and look at them. We have up to 14 days to investigate. Typically, we go out the same day we get the complaint. If the complaint falls into the town and we don't have a septic permit on that, they're typically forwarded on to the town. I'll do the investigation for the town, but it's up to that local town to take the enforcement action. The reason why is because of the way the laws are written. The town is the lowest form of court, so we'll get phone calls from, the town of Anarvin, let's say. I'll get the phone call, and then I'll go out and look at it for them, but it goes back onto their desk to take any legal action. We'll issue the permits for the new systems, but we don't, we can't enforce any of the nuisance stuff in the villages. I can just assist them. Oh, the photo on your right there, that was a gentleman that decided that he was going to pump his septic tank because the tile's blocked. He's pumping it out into the alley. That one ran a block and a half down the street. This photo, it's not clear, and there's no way to make it clear, but what we wanted to point out on this is all the different minimum and maximum distances that your private sewage disposal system has to be away from sources like your well, your water line, property lines. All that is in that code that I referred to earlier. These are all the things that we're looking at when we take the time to look at an application to see if it's going to be approved, as well as when we inspect.
We have a septic within 50 feet of the well.
I'm thinking about myself.
Here again, the figures don't, doesn't matter to you, but when you're putting in a new system, the first thing you have to do is what's called a soil investigation. Back in the day, it used to be called perk test, where they dug a hole, filled it with water, and waited for the water to leave. Now they're using soil scientists, so an individual has to hire a soil scientist. They come up, drill 3 borings in the backyard. They tell you what type of soil that's there, and then based on the number of bedrooms in your house, or if you're, it's a, like a restaurant or something, you use the water rates with whatever the soil evaluation. That tells you how big your leach field has to be. Here's a typical septic tank. You have your inlet, your outlet, and you have access ports over top of your tanks. So sewage water comes in. The reason for the baffle on the inlet end, that churns the material down into the tank. Because if you look, you have your sludge at the bottom, and then you have your scum at the top. The bacteria actually work between the bottom of the scum and the top of the sludge. So as the water's in here, bacteria is working on it, and then, of course, it has to go out. A properly working tank will have the water level right here at the bottom of the tile. So if you dumped a glass of water in any part of the plumbing system, a glass of water is going to go out that way. This one here shows the filter, and we'll talk a little bit more about why with the filters, that helps to clean up. Remember I talked about that paper? You see that little white stuff out there on the, well, that gets stuck out in the leach fields too. So your toilet paper breaks down in the tank, doesn't ever go away. It just goes from hard material into a liquid type material. Anybody have any questions yet? On this one also, you see the top caps. You have to have in the code, you have to have access within 1 foot. And so if a tank's deeper, they have to put that on there. We recommend, because you need to to check the tank once every 3 years to see if it needs to be pumped and or have it pumped. Because remember I said, the bacteria works between the bottom of the scum and the top of the sludge. These keep building up, okay? So you have less retention time for the bacteria to work on breaking that down. Now, in a septic tank, that's anaerobic bacteria. That's not aeration bacteria, that's anaerobic. So it has a different type of smell. Here's 3 different septic tanks. They're made, there's plastic ones, and then of course the concrete ones. This one here shows an extra baffle in it. So like that one had the filter on it, sometimes have a baffle. If you look at that drawing, see how the sludge layer went down one more time? So this effluent will be a lot cleaner going out. The cleaner your fluid, the longer the leach field will last. Here's 3 different types of subsurface systems or leach fields. Got your gravel on the left. Now the gravel systems, all these runs have to be tied together because there's a 4-inch pipe that runs down through the gravel. Gravel is about 1 foot thick. Has to be at least 1 foot thick. This time, the chambers, a lot of chambers going in anymore because gravel quarries are drying up. These systems have taken over. On the far right is a seepage bed. That is, it's similar to the gravel system. However, they put it 1.5 times bigger and they just dig out the entire area and then they lay their pipes in here. They have to be 6 foot on center and 1.5 foot off the sidewalls. Here's 2 aeration units. They're both the same type of unit. With this, it works on anaerobic bacteria and aeration bacteria. So this one here is a good example. This one is the septic tank. So it goes in here, works the same way as the ones previously. Then it goes into this tank. That tank pumps oxygen into it. And so you got 2 different types of bacteria broken down twice. And then they either, like this one there, put on there, it says UV treatment, or the old way is chlorinate. You put a chlorinator on. So the water that comes out of it, if it's surface discharging, has to be either UV or chlorinate. We also inspect pumper trucks. And we make sure that all the hoses are good, make sure the end is tight. We check their logs. Every time they pump a tank, they have to log where it's at, you know, whose property it was, how many gallons, and if they're gonna land apply it, where they took it to land apply it, or if they took it to the municipality, which one. With the pumper trucks, like this, the minimum hose size is 3 inch. If they're gonna land apply, the instrument on the right is a pH meter. They have to check the pH of the sewage. They put quicklime in it before they land apply it. Now they can't land apply if it's rained within the last 24 hours, if it's got a slope of 5% or greater, if it's within 200 feet of water supply, homes, or ditches. What we do when we check on how they're land applying, they have to be moving. They can't just back the truck up and dump right here. They gotta open the gate, get back in, and drive. So they'll spread the sewage right down along the crops. Before they land apply, they have to make sure that there's no groundwater 4 feet below the ground. So all the sites have inspection ports, and it's kind of like a no-brainer. You open it up, if there's no water in it, they can dump there today. Otherwise, they got to take it to the municipal. if they don't put the quick line in it, then they gotta incorporate it, so most of them won't just use the quick line. And with the quick line, it's gotta get up to pH 12 or greater for 30 minutes. I think that's the end of it. Yep. Any questions?
Fascinating.
Thank you.
I mean, seriously.
Every one of these little lines on all this paper has a different, a different story to tell how complicated it is. It's not what you think, right?
Well, I've never really thought a whole lot about it, so that's.
So pumper trucks have to be inspected by you also,
Once a year.
yeah.
And it's on, you'll see them on the results here,
Right.
as well as the disposal site.
Yes, I can understand that. Anybody have any questions for Terry?
Now, I think next week, or next month, it was kicked around, because we do have the XRF machine, to have Eric come give a presentation on the lead program,
Okay,
if that's what you guys want.
that sounds good to me. Interesting. All these presentations have been interesting.
It's a new program that we added.
We'll bring Eric and Vonna, because Vonna knows the home breeders, and,
Mhm.
you know, and, yeah, we'll bring them both and let them talk to you about that.
Okay. Any more questions for Terry, anybody? Thank you. Anything else, Lee?
That's it.
Do we have any old business to discuss? New business, John?
I want to bring before the committee something that I just received in the mail this morning from the Department of Agriculture. There's an application for a livestock management facility northeast of Milford. And basically, these things are governed by the Department of Agriculture, but they're required to notify the county board and the county in case there's a need to have a hearing. And so I guess what I'm asking is to get your opinions and recommendations as to whether or not we might want to request a hearing. I will say that right now there's a similar application in Ford County near the town of Sibley, and the residents there are rather vociferous against it and been protesting. I'm not sure that that'll do any good because the Department of Agriculture has the final say-so on these things. The county really has nothing to say about it. But since, in order to everybody know what's going on, that's why I'm bringing it up.
Does it state there how large this facility will be? How many?
Right, all that information is in here. I believe there'll be 1,720 hogs involved. And it gives the dimensions of the building. It tells you what kind of pit it'll be for storage for the sewage or whatever you call it.
No, is
Well,
this,
they already have a cattle auction down there.
What's that?
They already have a cattle auction down there for livestock.
Well, but that's not even related. I mean, this is for a
is this
large hog farm.
farrowing? Is this a farrowing
Oh, I see.
operation or?
No, it
not
says it's a
just,
finishing
livestock.
operation. I haven't really had a chance to study it that carefully. I just opened the envelope up
Okay.
before this meeting.
That's
So
like,
So that would be feeding out then and getting ready for market, so
Right.
it sounds like, yeah.
So the opinions that we, say if we developed an opinion, a pretty solid opinion on it, they would ponder different boards' opinions on it, but not necessarily affect the outcome.
Right, I can tell you about 5 years ago, there was an application made over near the Ridgeland area, and many of the residents in that area were concerned as to whether or not that might impact their wells and the water supply and that sort of thing. And there was a hearing held here, and there was a representative from the Department of Agriculture present. Residents had an opportunity to express their opinions. And then that was all done. The representative from the Department of Agriculture stood up and thanked everybody, but made sure they understood that it was the Department of Agriculture that had the final say-so. And if I remember correctly, they gave the approval on it.
Our
on it, and there's really never been anything come as far as the complaints or fears that people had. But again, the citizens have an opportunity to have a hearing, and we have to know, this letter is dated January 24th. If we want to have a hearing, we would have to notify the Department of Agriculture before 23rd of February. So that's why I'm bringing it up. It's not on the agenda. If we want to put it on the agenda for the board meeting next week from tomorrow, we can do so, and perhaps we will, but I want to make everybody aware of it and interested in opinions and recommendations.
Would you recommend that we put it on the agenda?
I guess so. I mean, I personally don't think we're gonna gain anything by having a hearing, and as far as I know, there haven't been any citizens that have brought up anything about it. Mr. Sicknoff lives right near there and knows the individual involved. He doesn't seem concerned about it. He's willing to put up with the smell, I guess, if they need. When the wind blows in that direction.
I am downwind.
The farmer.
You're northeast of the location from what I can see here, so a southwest wind will likely to give you some of it. I don't know. There's hog farms all around where I live, and I don't get anything. The only time I was ever any smell is there's one hog farm in Ford County where he spreads all of the stuff out on the ground, and then you get this odor from that. And that's the only thing that I've ever detected in the way of anything.
They've come a long way
Right.
with technology and how they set
And-
things up.
And obviously, this is something that's governed by the Department of Agriculture. They have standards that have to be met throughout the whole thing. And they send us along a copy of all their rules and so forth as well, that everybody can look at. But here again, they're asking us, do you want to have to request a hearing or not? If we don't get back to them, they're gonna assume that no hearing is required.
No, the thing of it is if we don't have a hearing and it comes to fruition, those people say, well, what was the county board doing that they didn't have a hearing, it's.
Well, that's true, but by the same token, if you have a hearing, there needs to be people there who have views one way or the other to testify.
Yeah,
And unless we know that people are willing or wanting to do that, I guess between now and a week from tomorrow would be an opportunity, if there are people that want to do that, to come forward and make that known.
Is it widely known out there that this is being proposed?
There's a lot of, the cafe talk.
Okay.
coffee shop.
I'm going to meet with the individual this afternoon and find out more about what's going to happen. And I haven't heard any complaints yet, but.
I just hadn't, and I mean, I realize I'm up by Martinton, but I hadn't had any of the southern relatives, I guess, mention it or anything, so that's why, because, I mean, usually what happens is when it, becomes more common knowledge is when sometimes you can get some of the complaints, I suppose.
Well, as I said, over in Ford County near Sibley, there's an application in the process over there, and it's been reported in the newspapers about the hearings and the comments people made about how it's gonna blow the smells and odors right into town and ruin the town, it's gonna do this, it's gonna do that. And so, I mean, that's all part of the process.
Sure.
So,
Well, fear of the unknown sometimes, and fear of
Whatever.
maybe not lack of knowledge and understanding sometimes creates fear.
So I'm bringing it out in, so that we know what the situation is and so forth, so. Not gonna be a problem to put it on the agenda, for the board meeting a week from tomorrow, but I probably won't do that unless I see some evidence of a need for it, of the people interested in holding a hearing. And we may put it on the agenda anyway, but I mean, we're not gonna be requesting a hearing unless there's a need for it. And the need will be people who wanna testify for or against, primarily against, is usually the way it works.
That is an area where it's not heavily populated, there are not a lot of houses, so of course, if it's impacting me, well, it's important, but.
Literally. Impacting you.
But there are not a lot of people that it will impact.
You got the wind tower, so it's,
They list in here people in the town of Milford and the distance they are away from there. Mr. Sticknoth is not listed in here, so apparently they don't think he's close enough to matter. I can tell from the map, I see his home on the map, and I can tell the southwest wind is gonna possibly impact him. Anyway, I just wanna call it to everybody's attention. Probably the health committee is the best place to bring something like this forward, so. Okay, if you have any thoughts or whatever on it, please let me know.
Thank you, John.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like, is there any way, like the letter that they sent, I would like some more information or
Well,
anything
you
that we
can read
could.
through this if
Okay,
you want.
yes, I would
just
like to
need-
just take a look.
We
Okay.
can make copies for you if you wanna take it along, or.
Okay, well, that would be great too,
Sure,
yeah, if we
I'd
could,
get that.
sure, okay. Yeah, just to kind of educate, I mean, I think it would be a good idea to at least discuss it, the full county board on weather and maybe do a little research and that type of thing. And then decide about a hearing or,
Well, to me, the important thing as far as if we were to vote on whether to hold a hearing or not, is that there are individuals who wanna testify against it or oppose it. Otherwise, the hearing doesn't accomplish a lot. And I'm not necessarily in favor of the Department of Agriculture sending somebody all the way up here from Springfield and wasting their time and money just to.
Like you said, you just got a hold of the information, I trust you.
I just opened the
Yeah.
envelope up before this meeting, so.
Read it over, if you think it needs to go on the agenda for the county board meeting.
Well,
that we-
for full transparency, for the opportunity to give everybody their, six,
Yeah, that's the thing, to just,
25 cents worth or whatever.
yeah,
Uh,
Sure.
have it out there and,
Put it out in the open.
yeah, that's the main thing.
Right, sure.
Okay, that's what I got.
Okay. Have any more new business? I would entertain a motion to adjourn, excuse me. Go ahead.
So, this would just be something that would be brought up then on the health department, report at the county board meeting?
It wouldn't be brought up on the health department's report, it may be mentioned in the report, but it'll be listed as a separate item so that it could be voted on.
Okay,
I mean, either way, it's gotta be put on the agenda so that we meet all the requirements of legally being able to vote on something. We can't vote on it here because it's not on the agenda here.
right.
But we can put it on the agenda at the board meeting and handle it that way. So,
Probably a good idea, put it on the
I think so
agenda.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any questions on that? Okay, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
so maybe,
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.